Happy Friday, happy Friday, happy Friday. Good morning and welcome back to In the Trenches with Dr. Tammy. Welcome to another episode of Fire Take Friday. Before we begin, I want to say something to you. I want to thank Tiffany Shippey for inviting me over to a dinner. It was a 5-course catered meal by Two Fires, One Pot, Jimmy and Jerry Scott. They are Black owned and they are in the Atlanta area. Their number is 470-886-6018. The meal was fantastic. Secondly, I would like to say thank you to Dr. Antoine Dwayne Jones for a fantastic Atlanta Pearly Awards 2025. If you missed it, please do not miss it next year. It was wonderful. It is great to watch and see others be recognized for their tremendous contributions and help to others. So thank you for that. And thank you for providing me with an opportunity of self-reflection to which I can look to see what more it is that I can do myself. With that being said, we are going to jump right in. If you recall, on Fire Take Fridays, I will read something to you that was either sent to me by someone or shared with me by someone else. I will then give you my view, or shall I say, my take on what has been shared with me. So let's get started. And when we are all just fighting to survive in a world where I miss you, doesn't mean I'm coming back. And I love you doesn't mean I will stay. Wow. Wow, wow, wow is what I have to say to that. I'm kind of an old-fashioned girl. So when I think of things like someone saying that they love you, it means a big deal to me. Because if indeed this person, said person, is truly in love with you, then it does actually mean I will stay, in the sense of I am going to be here for you, work through what we have, and work together with what we have. And I want you to remember that when I say stay here with you and work through, Dr. Tammy is not saying to you that you should stay through abuse or anything like that. I am simply saying that the old-fashioned girl in me, when I say that I love you, that's exactly what I mean. And I'm going to stay around and work through some things with you. Also, if someone is saying that they miss you, then more than likely they are going to be seeking you out in the very near future. But as I read the way this was written, what I take from it is that this relationship could have already been dissolved. And the actual I miss you doesn't necessarily mean that they're coming back. So we have to have a little bit more context to be sure of what it is that they're saying. But if you're anything like me, I miss you means something. I love you means something. Now, as we continue, I want you to remember that you may see me glance down a little bit because I'm going to be reading and then responding today. So bear with me. This one tickled me. Some of you need to spin the block right back to that man or woman that you overlooked. They were the one. Now listen, Y'all already know how I feel about this. You already know that I have said to some of you as I speak to you or as I send correspondence back and forth with you, when you talk to me about your preferences in a person and a partner, when you tell me the things that you actually really like and want to have in a relationship, and it shows up, but you go the opposite direction for so many reasons. Some of you say, oh, I'm so busy. I have a new business, or I just started a new job. There are so many things that are said to me about why they didn't receive that person who comes with all of those things that they say they wanted and needed. So I say to you, you in those instances may need to spin the block. Because if you think about it, you can find time. Because for those of us who are really in a space where we're open for love, it's quality time, that is needed. It doesn't mean that you need to be in their space 24 hours a day. It simply means that the time that you spend together, whether it's 5 minutes, 20 minutes, all day, it was quality time. It was what the both of you actually needed. So all of these things, and I'm going to call them excuses, because for some of us, it is an excuse because we are now confronted with what we said that we wanted, but we got scared. Don't be afraid. Receive what you said you wanted. Receive what you said you needed. And if it's in that person that you overlooked, you got my permission. Spin the block. You deserve to be someone's first choice. You've heard me say in a previous episode that if I'm dating or if I'm in a relationship, I cannot count above the number one. Because when you say that someone deserves to be your first choice, that means there are other people involved. And for me, being on a roster, that's an absolute no-go. So you are correct. You actually deserve to be the only choice. Now, be careful with how we use that word choice. I hear it a lot over the years and each day in social media because I am finding that we're selecting the use of that word choice or chosen because we've been hurt at some point. And at some point, someone made us feel as if we were unworthy. But I say to you today, you are worthy. You are worthy. You are worthy. So there's no need to make an actual choice because you are the only choice. This one was sent in by a gentleman and I was really excited to receive it. He said, an upgrade is not someone who looks better than your last. An upgrade is someone who treats, appreciates, and values you more than your last. I really liked this one, not just because it came from a man, but because what he's saying is this. I'm looking past the beauty. And unfortunately in society, so many men are said to have their initial attraction to a woman be based solely on her outer beauty as opposed to her inner. And in this instance, I can agree with him. I agree that if we're calling a person an upgrade of sorts, then we need to look at how they're treating us. Do they value who we are? Do they appreciate us? And how do they treat us? Those are the things that we should be looking for in our person. And I want to thank him for sharing that with us because so many times people forget that. So many times they forget that is so much bigger than the material things, the way a person looks, the car he or she drives. So thank you, sir. Thank you for that. This one made me think for a moment. It's important to know the difference between someone who values you and someone who only values what you can give them. The reason this one made me think is because, as you know, in that relationship that I was in, the 14-year relationship, I found myself giving and giving and giving more because I cared and because I saw a need for certain things. What I found at the end and of this relationship, it was more of the value in the things I was able to do and to give to him, as opposed to his value of me as a person to whom he said that he loved. Now, in that regard, I say to you this: it's important that we, as the other person, remember that it's okay to be a giver, because I am still very much a giver. I have just simply learned to discern to who I'm going to be a giver with. I also have to remind myself that this is a moment of reflection for me, because I allowed my value to be devalued. Catch that later. I allowed my value to be diminished and devalued. I allowed that because of how I felt for him. There were so many signs that I overlooked, so many times in which I just said, that's just who he is. Remember, you should be valued. Know the difference of when they value what it is that they do, that you are doing for them, as opposed to you as the person. This one right here, y'all. Now, men, I'm sorry. I'm going to apologize before I read it, but I am going to read it. Wish him the best and move on. If he was the right one, he would have shown you. Okay, so here's my thought on that. This may apply to some men, absolutely. But there are some men and women, but because this is about a man, I'm going to speak on it in that way. There are some men who actually care for you very deeply, but often don't possess the ability to show you in the manner in which you would like to be shown. And this is where it is important for each of us, men and women alike, to help our partners by teaching them how it is that we would like to receive love, how it is that we should be shown love. We've spoken about love languages before. Our person may not truly understand our specific love language. That is something that we work through with them. That is something that we help them to do. Now, I am certainly not saying to you, sorry, men, I'm not saying to you that if someone shows you right out the gate that they are not interested in you, and as I've heard some people refer to it as, if they show you that they are for the streets, you really need to believe that. But if you have spent time and you continue to share time, you continue to talk, and you know there is some kind of connection, don't do what society would have you think that you should do. and that's immediately throw them to the wayside. Give it a second. Talk it through. Try to work it through if that is what the two of you truly want. I want to build a relationship with someone who cares about why I've been quiet all day. Not someone who gets upset because I'm acting different. I almost thought for a second that they must have been talking about me. Because as you've been watching the episodes, you know that I can really talk. So if I'm dating someone or I am in a relationship with them, I am more than likely checking on them throughout the day via text message or maybe even giving them a call. And I may even want to share something that's a concern of mine or something positive, because we have to remember that not every time that you're reaching out to your person that it's a negative. And that is where we have to remember our person needs to know this. We could just be reaching out because we're happy about something. We want to include you. But if we feel it's not being received, we might actually get kind of quiet. So if your person is a communicator or they enjoy speaking to you and sharing things with you, and they suddenly get quiet, that is your cue to find out what's really going on. Find out how they're feeling. Do that check on them. Check in. Make sure all is well. And then move forward. I don't know about y'all, but I am ready for love to find me. Let it be overwhelmingly respectful, chivalrous, and loyal. Absolutely. Absolutely. So many of us are on our love journey and we're ready to receive these things. Just be sure, as I've said before, that when it shows up, receive it. Y'all know what I'm saying. Let love win. Don't be afraid to put your heart out there, even if it doesn't work in your favor. Just know that you had the courage to try. Now listen, if little old me can put myself back out there and be open to not only give love, but to receive it after everything that I've gone through, then I challenge you. I absolutely challenge you to do the same. Because here's the thing. It could turn out to be the most amazing time of your life. That could be your partner for the rest of your life. But if you don't take that opportunity, if you don't take the chance, if you don't give it a try, you'll never know. You would absolutely never know. And yes, it does take courage. Because once you put your heart out there, you don't know whether or not it's going to work. You have no clue. But that's okay. That's okay. You tried. You tried. And listen, again, that try might be the best thing that ever happened to you. Don't give up. It hurts when you go through something that kills you inside, but you have to act like it doesn't affect you. This one was near and dear to my heart because so many of us are going through things or have gone through things, and we do so silently. We do it without sharing it with others. Oftentimes we are afraid to share. We don't want to be judged. We don't want people to think differently of us. But I say this to you. As you go about your daily goings on each and every week, remember to be kind. Be kind to others. We don't know what people are going through on the inside. You and I could be that only ray of sunshine that they see in any given day or time. Be kind to people. Use your light to help others shine. That's my take on that. Here we go with that word again. You deserve to be chosen and loved. Back to my original thought. So many of us have been made to feel unworthy, that we were not enough. Hence, we have started using words such as, we want to know that we're chosen. And if we look at it in that context, I say to you, if you're dating someone or you're serious about them, make sure they know they're chosen. If indeed that's the word we're using, make sure they know that in your eyes, you're it. You're the one for them. Unconditional love does not mean unconditional tolerance. Agreed. 100%. You can absolutely love someone unconditionally without tolerating things that don't serve you, that don't bring added value into your life. Things that are hurtful should not be accepted. And someone who loves you should never expect for you to accept those kinds of things. So I agree 100%. This one was sent in by a man. Love it. He said, many people are in love and not together. And just as many or more people are together and not in love. Listen, I'm going to say this as quickly as I possibly can. Many of you come to me and say, this person presented himself or she presented herself and it's everything I wanted. I really, really care for them. But this job, this time, this, that. Listen to me. If you have decided that there are some things that you really want and that person presents with them and you feel happy with them, you feel good in their space, they feel good in yours, there is a genuine connection and there is real love, then why not be together? At least give it an effort. Give it an effort. And yes, unfortunately, there are people who are actually together and not in love. That's an unfortunate, sad state of affairs. But that is one of those things that happens in life. And my prayer for them is they find an opportunity to do what's best for them, however that may look. Lastly, after you fall in love with the right one, you never stop falling in love. Listen, my take on that is we need to grow in love. We need to grow in love. When I hear words like fall in love, to me that says I can just as easily fall out of love. And I want my bond with my person to be strong. I want it to continually grow through the days, through the months, through the years, so that whatever we're building is strong. And we're doing that together. So let's not fall into love. Let's grow into love. That's our rapid fire take Friday. Thank you so much for joining us again. I look forward to continuing to hopefully pour into you, hopefully empower you in some way. Thank you for joining us today here at In the Trenches with Dr. Tammy. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Much love.